Time for woodblock printing. You need several materials. You need paper to print on, which is on the cart up by the chalkboard. You need a piece of plexiglass. You need a roller, which is called a brayer. You need a paper towel, and of course you need your woodblock. Make sure all the wood chips are off so you don't get wood chips in the ink. And of course you need your color. So check with me about what color to print once you have carved a certain area out on your woodblock, which you want to check with me also on that. So I'm going to do a light blue just for this demonstration. Okay. You always do 3 lines of ink. Each line should be about 1.5 inches to 2 inches long. I could do 2 blue and 1 white, or I could do 1 blue and 2 whites. Depends on how much of a light blue I want. So I'll just do 1 blue, 2 whites. So just kind of apply it like that. And then you want to go ahead and mix your colors together. So I have these stir sticks. So what you do, you just kind of stir your colors together, get it mixed up really well, such as that. If it's not quite the color you want, you do not want to add very much additional ink, or you're going to have just way too much ink on your plexiglass, and then it's not going to roll out to this certain thickness that we need to get. So there is a light blue. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of make this kind of spread out a little more. All right, set that on an extra paper towel. Now you take your roller or your brayer. You want to go ahead and roll this out. You're going to have too much ink to start with, so you want to push down really hard and sort of just push some ink up out of the way. So the roller is not really rolling. You're just kind of pushing the ink up out of the way. But be careful not to shove it off the side, or it's going to get like all over the table, and it's going to be just a lot more you'll have to clean up. So pushing more out of the way, and then you start pushing not as hard, and then you're going to start getting a certain kind of sound. So I need to get a little more out of the way here. Okay, you want to get it to the thickness of where you're going to make like a sandpaper or Velcro sound when you pull Velcro apart or when you use sandpaper. So we're getting pretty close, starting to get that sound. Otherwise, you're just going to put way too much ink on the woodblock. All right, so that's the sound. If you have trouble getting the sound, please check with me. That way we don't just over ink the woodblock. So you can apply it any direction you want. So any direction you want on here. The wood is just like a giant sponge, so a lot of it's going to soak in the first time you go to put ink on it. If you get a little bit off the woodblock, that's why we have the paper towel on here. Pull a little bit of extra ink down here, since I'm starting to run out a little bit right through here. It's not quite making the sound. And this just takes some time going through to get this all inked. You are going to print a certain number of prints, and then we're going to keep a certain number of those also. Like you might need to print 5 to keep 3, or 4 to keep 2, and I'll just let you know what you need to do. So I'm going to go through and show you an example of a good quality print. So it should be shiny with little bumps on it like that. Okay, if you've got lines going across, then you have it over inked. It should be just fine little bumps, shiny little bumps like that. Okay, it should look like that. If you accidentally get some ink where it doesn't go, and I was careful not to do that, okay, but if you get ink where it's not supposed to go, I'll just kind of put a little bit in that spot. Okay, I want to keep those areas like not blue, so I'll let you know what you can do. You just take your finger and you rub this in, put it on the paper towel. Okay, some of it will come off, some of it will just run in and rub into the wood. So go ahead and take that off. This starts soaking in fairly quickly, so I can see I need to apply just a little bit more on there. I'm going to go over it one more time. And I'm just being careful the roller doesn't tip in there, like I just kind of did on purpose, just to show you what you do if you get ink in the wrong spot. All right, so when you have enough, you move the roller plexiglass out of the way, paper towel out of the way. If someone else needs your color, they can go ahead and use it while you're actually printing. You can just share the color. And then what you do is you hang on to it by the edges with both hands. You're going to put it down near the middle. It does not need to be exact. Okay, you want to be really careful when you do this so it doesn't move, because then it's going to be smeared and smudged and you're not going to get a good quality print. All right, then you kind of take it off the end of the table, make a sandwich with your hands like this, sit it down, and then for about 90 seconds, about a minute and a half, you want to use the padding in between your knuckles, hold it flat with one hand, and you're going to go straight down in little circles with the other hand, and what you are doing is getting the ink to stick to the paper. If you get a little bit on the back, like I did, that's not going to hurt anything. No matter how careful you are, you're probably going to get a little bit on yourself, like what I did. This is washable ink, so it will come off. It will come off just with water. Okay, you don't have to use soap, but you can use soap, but it will just come off with water and a paper towel. So just good pressure. This hand holds it in place so it won't just slide and smear. This holds it in place while the other hand is actually applying the pressure to get the ink to print to the paper. If you want to peek at it, you can. Okay, just don't pull it too far off or it could slide and slip out of place. If this starts to bother you, you can use the side of your fist or palm of your hand, but you can't push as hard. So you want to do about 2 minutes, like 120 seconds, instead of a minute and a half, 90 seconds. So a little bit more time here, getting this to print. Some of you did this in 6th grade with linoleum block prints, so this is a little bit similar to that. When you are done, okay, you take the paper, you're going to go ahead and peel off the print. Okay, and you go ahead and get a print, which is this. Okay, a little bit of a few little spots showing is okay. Sometimes they might be just a couple little wood chips or some of the wood grain showing. If you had a lot of white showing, then it's going to be under inked, and I can show like an example about something like that later. Now notice how it was carved and how it printed. It is a reverse mirrored image. One reason why we don't do words and numbers, because they would be reverse, backwards. So instead of the triangle pointing to the right, it's pointing to the left when we do a print. I already have my name and period on here, so this will go to the drying rack to dry. And then what I would do is I would put my paper towel, put this back on here. If someone's sharing the ink and they are done, I would go ahead and get that back. When they're finished, then I would just roll down some extra ink, get this rolled out to make the sandpaper Velcro sound, and I would just go ahead and reapply the ink. And we will do a certain number of prints for that. So this is an example of how you do woodblock printing. And everything here, if you get some ink on the table, then that will just come off like I did right over here. That will come off just with a damp sponge, paper towel, that will come off. So now I'm going to create another video and show you how we're going to clean all this up in the sink area. All right, so thank you for watching on woodblock printing.